I'll tell you what, man, since the first day I stepped foot on this campus, I believed. Relentless focus, relentless effort, have an edge.
Indiana University head football coach Tom Allen, the homegrown Hoosier, passionate about his state, his university, and his players. He grew up in Newcastle, a basketball hotbed, but a place where Allen honed his skills on the football field, playing for his dad. He was also an all-state wrestler, a man who counts family and faith as the cornerstones of his life. Tom Allen has put IU football in the national conversation. But what makes Tom Allen tick, and what is the backstory behind the man and his mission? Find out next on the Business and Beyond podcast. Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm your host, Gary Dick. In 2020, Tom Allen led the Indiana University football team to its highest national ranking since 1967. A trip to the Outback Bowl, some huge personal accolades as well, including being named the American Football Coaches Association's National Coach of the Year, among others. But there is much more to the man behind the X's and O's, and I'm pleased to welcome to the podcast IU head coach Tom Allen, so we can learn a little bit more about what makes him tick. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Gary, great to have me be able to be on your show, man. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, it has been quite a ride at Indiana University. As you look back on it now, beating Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin, the bowl bid, a top 10 national ranking, and doing it all in the face of the pandemic. Can you put into words what this last season, what this ride has been like for you?
Well, it's been unlike anything any of us have ever experienced before. You know, it's been awesome, but man, it's been hard. Gosh, it's just been one challenge after the next. I guess the one word you could really probably use is there's a lot of uncertainty. That to me just seemed to be a weekly theme, daily theme. Not knowing who you're going to have each game, each day. Guys just in and out, both in preparation when we're trying to get ready for the season, and then once the season started, started, restart, all those different things. So I just there was so much uncertainty, but man, it just caused you to just focus on the very things you can control, which is kind of a principle we talk about all the time in this program. We got a chance to live it out on a daily basis.
Very good. Well, you generate so much national attention for IU in the program. A lot of it with your enthusiasm, really contagious, this passion that you really wear on your sleeve. Where does that passion for the game, passion for the team, where does it come from?
Oh, I think a lot of it's when it's tied up in your purpose. When you know what your purpose is and you just love what you do, and how can you not be passionate about it? I believe with my whole heart that I was put on this earth to impact lives, and that I take that very seriously. And I was modeled that by my dad, my high school coach. Just saw how he invested in people. He didn't use the phrase LEO, but he lived his life by it. And so to me, it's about understanding who you are, why you're here. And when you know that it's something way bigger than yourself, and I believe that. I believe I have a chance to impact young men to help them become who I believe they were created to be and live that out on a daily basis. It just creates so much energy. I do enjoy coaching football. I love the game. I love practice. I love the opportunity to be around these guys. I invest in them. I give my heart to them, and they just give it right back. So it's pretty special.
Well, you mentioned love each other. Leo, really, I think an embodiment of your passion for the game and for life. Leo grabbed national headlines this year, really became something that people connected with. But it's really been, as I understand it, really part of your life, your coaching philosophy for a long time. It just didn't happen with you this year.
No question. Yeah. Since the very beginning, I've been doing this for 28 years. My first 15 years were in high school, and 10 of those years here in Indiana at the high school level. And you can go back. Matter of fact, somebody pulled up an old clip of me talking to our Ben Davis team in 2004. And it was, you could have just changed out the coaching gear. It's the same way I talk to our guys right now. So yeah, it's not, LEO to me is a lifestyle. It's about investing in people. It's about creating an environment where they know you love them more as a person than as a player, and that it's not about just catching touchdown passes or making tackles or making plays on the football field. helping you, holding you to a standard of excellence that says, I love you so much, I'm not going to let you just be average. I'm going to make you adhere to the standards and the things that are going to allow you to be great in this life, be great in the classroom, great, obviously on the football field is part of that. But I just think you can do both. You can win football games, and you can develop character and leadership and help these guys become very, very special individuals first.
Well, the Leo mantra really did take on added meaning in the wake of the national protest, the civil unrest, in the wake of the George Floyd situation in Minneapolis. You were really, if not the first, you were one of the first coaches to really publicly speak out and take a stand on that issue. Why did you feel that was an important thing to do?
Well, first of all, I didn't even know. I had no idea that I was like the first or whatever. That wasn't the point. I just was stirred. I just felt like I had to say something. My heart told me to speak out. I felt like that. I invest so much time in these players. I get to know them so well, and many of them were African American families that they were hurting. I mean, I knew they were, and I know our guys so well. I spend so much time with them. They feel like they can reach out to me, and we talk a lot. And I knew, man, they were struggling. They were angry. They were hurt. They were sad. They were just, almost weary of the constant of these situations that just kept happening over and over again. And so, I responded, publicly on social media and nothing that was just any different than what I believe. But I think when you think about LEO, it is at the core of that, and it wasn't created, for that situation. That was already embedded in this program years before. But it's life. It carries over into life, and it's when you choose to love somebody, you choose to accept all those things that go with that. And so we had these racial issues going on, and I'm like, hey, we may look different, we may have different beliefs, we have different upbringings, but at the end of the day, love's a choice. And when you choose to love somebody, there's a forgiveness that goes with that. There's a sacrifice that goes with that. And there's a lot of things that are not easy to go along with that. But that to me is what it's all about. And yeah, it kind of got shoved into the forefront, initially before the season ever even started.
Coach, you are a native Hoosier. You grew up in a basketball town, really, Newcastle. Tell me about life growing up in Henry County.
Yeah, I tell you what, I loved it, with my dad being the football coach. And he was the assistant before he became the head coach. Coach Surface, Mark Surface, was the head coach that brought our family there. Sam Alford was the head basketball coach the whole time I was there. And obviously his son, Steve's a pretty famous guy. And he's 5 years older than me. So I was, younger, but always looked up to him, and remember just being raised in a small town where sports were a big deal. But it was just a lot of great people, man. And a lot of them are still there. And my parents still live there. And my dad's retired now. But just people, just respecting them, appreciating them, all the people that helped me, as a young person there. We moved there when I was 8 years old. So went there from third grade on and just loved going to grade school there, middle school there, high school. I wrestled, played football, actually threw the shot discus and track, ran a little bit too. So I was involved in a lot of different things and involved in FCA there at my high school. And it just had so many quality people. Coach Peckinpah, my head wrestling coach, just impacted my life in a huge way. And we're still close to this day. And obviously my dad being head football coach and even Coach Surface. I ended up coaching for him at Marion High School years later, right before I went to Ben Davis, and just close. And even his son, Matt, and I, we were ball boys together, and he ended up coming here to Indiana. He played here. We're still close to this day. We talk all the time, and it's just about relationships. It's about people. And my dad taught me that's what really matters in this life. And I just think about Newcastle just being a tight knit, close, community that people care about each other and they love their basketball without question. That's what we're known for there. And then I was a wrestler that played football. So how about that?
Yeah. Obviously football is very important, a very emotional thing for you. It's an emotional game. The father-son bond can be something that's very special. One thing that struck me this year, I remember seeing your reaction. It was after a win at Michigan State. Your son, Thomas, linebacker, got a season-ending knee injury. And you were very emotional. I mean, you talked about the journey. You talked about, a lot of things. And that emotion was just kind of pouring out. What were you thinking as you recall that time? Because it was a very emotional interview.
It was, I obviously the event, it happened during the game and he got injured And I knew it was really serious, and I knew the season was going to be over by what they were telling me on the field, what it was. And so that exchange was hard because, you're his dad first, and I knew how hard he had worked. He had a shoulder injury the year before where he tore his rotator cuff in his labrum and had season-ending surgery and missed that whole, that happened during the Nebraska game in 2019. Actually, the very game that we won to get us to a bowl game, which was a very special game. And so, but I knew how hard he had worked. And also I was asked a question in an interview the next Monday, after the game, and they were asking about the injury and what it felt like. And I said, because you're out in the field with your son and they had to bring a cart out to cart him off, and you see him drive away. And I knew his season was over, but you got to go back and coach your team. You can't leave and go be with him like you really want to. And you got to be able to compartmentalize all that. And so then they asked me that question, and like I said, just kind of a lot of emotions just kind of swept over me. And I knew what he had sacrificed, what my family had sacrificed for me to take this journey. And when we left Ben Davis and made the jump to Wabash and started coaching college football, there was a 10-year window there. We lived in 7 states in 10 years. And that's, all 3 of our children attended 2 different high schools. And I moved to Newcastle, like I said, when I was, 8 years old and never left, and so I moved one time my whole life. And these guys, my wife and our kids, and I just knew what they had been through, to chase the dream that I believe God had put in my heart to coach in the Big Ten one day. And so, just all that. And then the injury happened. He lost the season. And I just know he's such a fighter and he's worked so hard. I was just overcome with the emotion of the hurt for him, for how much I know that this had devastated him to lose the rest of the season.
Yeah. I want to talk about that coaching journey in a moment. But first, leaving Newcastle, you went on to college. Maranatha, is that right?
Yeah.
Baptist?
Maranatha Baptist University.
University, you played football, you wrestled, small school in Wisconsin. Talk about your college life, your college experience.
Well, I tell you what, it was really special. Number one, I got a chance to be influenced by 2 awesome men, my head football coach, Terry Price, and my head wrestling coach, Ben Peterson. Ben Peterson was an Olympic gold, silver medalist in the sport of wrestling and an unbelievable man. Still close to him to this day. Unfortunately, we lost Coach Price a few years ago. But just men that taught me how to use the sport to impact life. My dad had modeled me that my whole life, and that was awesome. But it was a chance to see it at the college level. 2 more men in my life that showed me that it's about, loving and caring for people and investing in their lives and helping them grow and develop. And then I met my wife, which was awesome, and Tracy played volleyball and softball there. And we met and started dating and got married as soon as we graduated right from college. And so just a special time for us. Some of my best friends to this day are still my college teammates, and wrestled with an individual that wrestled in 2 Olympics and now is a head wrestling coach in college in Illinois, and another close friend of mine, high school football coaches, and just guys that have been able to have impact and guys that you just have lifelong friends with.
That's great. I was going to ask you if you met your wife in college. Was it love at first sight, Coach?
You know what? It was close, man. We started dating our freshman year, and we're still together.
Okay, Coach. Each podcast we have the lightning round. It's a few quick answers to some of the day's quote unquote most important questions. So if you're up for it, I'm going to fire a few questions your way.
Sound good.
Okay. First up, movies: Rudy or Hoosiers?
Oh, gosh, that's tough. Hoosiers, but man, I love them both. Those are awesome.
Okay. Favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
If you were not a football coach, Coach Allen, what would you be doing?
Well, I went to school to study accounting, and that's what I switched from that to business education. So I taught accounting instead of being one, but yeah, that's what I wanted to be, was an accountant. How about that? Coach Allen in the accounting.
Coaching and accounting. Those are two different fields, that's for sure.
No doubt.
Can you think of 3, if you had your favorite dinner lined up with 3 people, either living or deceased, 3 people who you would really love to have dinner with?
I would say Jesus, number 1, Coach Bear Bryant, and Bobby Bowden.
Okay, good. Obviously 3 big names there. How about, do you have a pet peeve?
A pet peeve?
Yeah.
Oh, people that don't want to be great. People that just settle for being average. That really drives me nuts.
Okay. Here's one that a Newcastle native should be able to answer. Single class or class basketball?
Oh, single one. Yeah, they should have no classes.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Coach. Favorite way to relax?
Oh, I tell you what, I enjoy walking along the beach.
Okay. Night football or 1 p.m. kickoff?
Oh gosh, I tell you what, I love the atmosphere of the night, but I love getting up in the morning and it's go time. You don't have to sit around in a hotel all day. That drives me nuts. So, but I love the atmosphere. So I guess I got to go with 1 o'clock because that's really what most of our games are. But yeah, that's definitely a lot of value to all that. So we'll go with it.
Okay, one more for you, Coach. Old Oaken Bucket or Monon Bell?
I tell you what, Old Oaken Bucket's special, but man, that Monon Bell game is, I got to say the Oaken Bucket, that's where I'm at right now. But man, I tell you what, that's pretty stinking special to have that Monon Bell rivalry.
All right, Coach Allen, great job with the lightning round. I do want to get into your life as a coach. You mentioned that a moment ago, the journey, Ben Davis, Marion High School, Wabash College, before moving through the ranks. And we will do that when we return to Business and Beyond, presented by PNC. Welcome back to Business and Beyond, presented by PNC. We're very pleased to have with us Indiana University head football coach Tom Allen. And Coach, thank you again for being with us. You know, you mentioned this a little bit earlier in the podcast. A coach's life can be pretty tough, involving a lot of moves, a lot of jobs, a lot of town. It can be stressful not only on the coach, but certainly the family, the wife and the family as well. Talk about your early years, because a lot of those were in the high school level in Florida and then here in Indiana, Marion High School. Of course, certainly a lot of people remember you at Ben Davis here in Indianapolis, where you coached under the legendary and succeeded Dick Dullahan. Talk about what your favorite remembrances are of those high school years.
Well, I tell you, we moved, like I mentioned, my wife and I got married in 1992 that summer and started our first teaching job in Tampa, Florida. And I was head wrestling coach, assistant football my first year, and she was head volleyball and assistant softball. We both taught. She was a math teacher and I was a business teacher. And so we spent those first 5 years down there, 3 at Temple Heights, 2 at Armwood High School. And it was a great time, just dive into the lives of these kids. We didn't have any children yet. And but it was just fun being together. Matter of fact, Mike Doig he's my DFO here now. He was assistant basketball coach there and assistant football, and we got to know each other. We were just out of college, and his wife taught also, so they're both here with us right now, which is pretty cool to have. Some of our best friends are from that 5-year window of time down there when we didn't have children yet, and just dove into our jobs and into coaching. Then I came back. Our oldest daughter was born in Tampa. And then we came to Marion. Thomas was born in Marion, and then I was 1 year there, and then went to Ben Davis. And so I just think once again it's about the people that you're around, and such great memories. I was blessed to be around some really good head coaches. I worked for, like I said, Coach Surface and Coach Dullahan here in Indiana, and then the guy I worked for there, Sean Callahan, is one of the legendary coaches in the state of Florida. Just had a chance to really be impacted by guys that really did a great job at the high school level. But I think the thing I just enjoy was just, you do so many different things. I coach wrestling at several different schools. I coach track, coach football, but it was just all about the kids and investing in them and enjoying being with them. And then we started having our own family, and then our kids being able to be around the players. And just like I was when I could not wait for my dad to pick me up when we were younger and to go to the away games and get on the bus and ride to those games and be the ball boy on the sideline and all the different things we did and wear the jerseys, that we had our names on the back. My dad made it for us, my brother and I. And so just, I loved Friday nights. I love the smell, the feel, the noise, the bands, everything that goes with it. And a lot of great memories from my high school days.
Yeah. Coach, you mentioned being able to do a lot of things coaching. What are your thoughts? And this just popped into my head really. But about athletes, high school athletes today really are, I think, in so many ways pushed toward specialization, pushed toward one sport as opposed to multiple sports. You hear both sides of the coin on that one. What are your thoughts on that, the specialization of athletes today?
I don't like it. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school for all my years, of being an athlete. And as I mentioned, I coach multiple sports in multiple high schools. As a college coach, I want to see our recruits play multiple sports. I love kids playing basketball. I love them wrestling in the wintertime. I love watching them run track and play baseball. My philosophy is you play as many sports as you can for as long as you can. And I, unfortunately, I've seen it, my own children, our son played multiple sports. Our daughter kind of felt that pressure with club volleyball. She loves softball, really kind of hard to do both with the way the schedule's structured. So, we kind of had to fall into that too as parents. My wife was the volleyball mom, taking her to all these tournaments, and I'd go to as many as I could. But I just think it's healthy. And this is my philosophy. I think it's healthy for a young person to be under another coach's discipline and learn how to compete in those different environments. We want to recruit guys that have to shoot free throws with, hey, there's 5 seconds to go in the game. I got to make this free throw. Hey, there are 3-2 count in baseball. I got to be able to, perform under pressure. I'm throwing the shot disc because I've already scratched twice. I got one more throw. I mean, how you going to respond? I can't teach them all that stuff lifting weights. Some kids want to train year round and have this personal trainer. I don't believe in that. And I understand that if you're not good enough, I guess that's reality. But if you can play as many sports as you can, play them. And I think that's healthy.
That's a great outlook. You got into the college ranks as an assistant at Wabash College here in Indiana, 2007. Okay, Coach, a bit of trivia. You were on the sidelines at Wabash, 2007 Monon Bell game. DePaul won by a last-second kick in an unbelievable game. Wabash had an unbelievable team. The quarterback at DePaul was my son, Spud.
How about that? That's unbelievable. And what a game that was. And I'm telling you, it makes me sick to this day. I mean, it was at DePaul, and we were favored, and we were ranked top 10 in the country, and they stinking beat us on the last. I mean, it was on SportsCenter. I remember that.
It was.
Because you don't forget those when you win by a last second field goal, but you surely don't forget it when you lose by one either.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, you worked your way through the college ranks, got into D1 football, Arkansas State. You went on to Ole Miss, South Florida, where you're a defensive coordinator, made a name for yourself on the defensive side of the ball. And then you get a call from IU to be the defensive coordinator for Kevin Wilson. Thinking back to that, what was your thought process in saying, hey, I may be headed back to Indiana University?
Yeah, it was crazy. So we finished out our season there at USF and had a great year. We were the number 1 most improved defense in the country. And I got a call from Kevin Wilson. I didn't know Kevin. So when he called me, I didn't pick up because I don't pick up if I get a number that I don't, have in my phone. And so it was an 812 number and from here in Bloomington, but didn't even think anything of it. Didn't answer. He left a message, said who it was, asked him to call him back. I called him back right away. And he just said, hey, would you be interested in sitting down talking about coming here to be our new defensive coordinator? And so that's kind of how it all started. But man, I tell you what, the chance to come back home and be the defensive coordinator in the Big Ten in my home state, it was just too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. And it was kind of a challenging time because Thomas was going to be a senior the very next year. So that was like, man, what do we do? Do we have him move his senior year? And so I never thought we'd ever separate, but he was going to be a captain down there. And my wife's parents decided to go down there. We asked him to go down there and live in our condo that we had there. And they became his surrogate parents for the semester that he had his senior season. So, but it was a great opportunity to come home that I couldn't pass up.
And you made a big impression, certainly. And then there was a huge turn of events. Kevin Wilson resigned suddenly, and athletic director Fred Glass came to you and said, hey, Coach Allen, we want you to be our head coach. Thinking back to that, I think it was December 1, 2016. What was that day like, or what was the thought process? Can you walk us through, what you were thinking or what you experienced that day?
Well, it was an amazing day. Happened really, really fast. I was on the road recruiting. They called me back in, met with Fred about it that morning for the first time and talked things through, made the decision, to accept the opportunity. A lot of rumors going around. I was getting my phone was blowing up, as you could imagine. I couldn't even respond to anybody. And had a team meeting, so Fred and I went there to address the team, and that was challenging. That was hard, and obviously I was the assistant, and my first year being here, knew the defensive guys way better than I knew the offensive guys, and I tell you what, something happened in that meeting that was pretty amazing. Mitchell Page was one of our receivers, came here as a walk-on stud player, just a great one of our best guys, and so he stood up. It was intense. I mean, Coach Wilson recruited all those guys, and I didn't come here to take his job, and it was just a lot of questions. Kids didn't know what was really going on, and he stood up after that. Fred Glass had told them what was going to happen, and he said, Coach, he said, this is tough. He said, it's tough on all of us. We love Coach Wilson. He said, but you know what? If I wouldn't want anybody else leading this team except for you. And the whole place cheered. And both sides, and he was a receiver, and obviously the defensive guys. We'd made a huge impact on the defensive side of the football that season, and Elio was already embedded into them. And I brought that here when I came as DC, and so, man, they just all cheered, and it was just it was a neat thing. And I went right from that meeting to the press conference, and like I said, my heart was hurting for Kevin and his family. So it was kind of a very difficult, challenging situation. And also I was very, excited for the opportunity to be able to lead Indiana. So definitely try to balance those two situations and try to represent it in the best way possible.
Yeah, a lot of different emotions, I'm sure. You're a confident guy, confident in your abilities, but when you're presented very suddenly with an opportunity like that, you're going from being an assistant, a high-level assistant certainly, but assistant to being a head coach at a Big Ten university. How do you process that from a standpoint of, hey, I'm the man now, I'm the guy?
Well, you just you know how blessed you are, and you just lean on the people around you, and basically I just met with our staff and said, hey, we're all in this together. I've been put in this position, and I'm just going to lean on the very things that I believe that I've been taught all along the way, how you treat people, how you do things, and all the great coaches I'd worked with, and put those all into action, and at that point we were getting ready to play in a bowl game, and so we had to just focus on, like the pandemic, you say, hey, focus on one thing. What can we control? And that's all we're going to focus on. So I did that in that moment, and that was getting this team ready to play their very best in the bowl game and finish out the 2016 season the best way possible. So that's what we chose to do.
Coach, we have one more question for you. You've obviously turned things around in a dramatic way from a recruiting standpoint, on-field performance, no question about that as well. But some people would say, hey, getting to the not that maybe you're at the top of the mountain, but getting to that higher level is maybe not as hard as sustaining and continuing to improve and sustaining success. Now that IU has a target on your back, what do you do to maintain success? What do you do for for the next season and seasons to keep that success rolling?
Well, I mean, you said it is, but it's hard to get here, and it's been a challenge for sure. But I think, being a part of a place like a Ben Davis said, where there was such a high level of expectation, it is very difficult to maintain that, because what you try to do is, I think the key to all that is you're never satisfied. You don't become complacent in anything that you're doing. You're always, that's one thing Coach Dullahan to me was so good at. We could have an undefeated season, have a state championship, and the next Monday it was back to work. And it was just never a let up. And just that attention to detail, you believe in what your core values, your core principles, that doesn't change. I think at this level, it's about player development and recruiting, and you recruit and try to continue to attract a higher level football player each and every year. And that's how you build your program. That's how you elevate your program. And you develop the guys that are within your program, but you stay true to who you are. And I think that you just surround yourself with great people that are hungry and are humble and want to be great. And that to me is what we're trying to do. And I think if you have that mindset and you stay true to who you are and you just keep working and working and working, which is grit, perseverance, and passion towards a long-term goal. I believe in that. I think it's how you become great. Now you stay great.
Coach Tom Allen, you have an infectious personality and a passion for the game and what you do, and it's not a surprise to me in any way that you're seeing success and will see more success at Indiana University. Can't thank you enough for taking time to be here, and best to you and your family going forward.
Well, Gary, thanks for having me. Have an awesome day. Elio.
And thank you for joining us on this edition of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. For additional information about the podcast and Indiana Business News 24/7, just check out InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. We'll see you next time.